Mary?
Yeah.
I'm going to call to order this Board of Trustees meeting for Tuesday, June 10th, 2014. If everybody will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before us, we have the agenda is presented. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections by fellow board members or department heads?
Yes, Mr. President, I would like to remove item number 1 under new business.
Okay. Are there any other additions, deletions, or corrections?
Yes, sir. I would like to remove zoning number 2I.
Chairman, I would also like to remove unfinished business fire station property.
Okay, so just for the record, for Anthony, we've got unfinished business number 1 being removed, new business number 1 being removed, and then zoning department 2I being removed. Good.
And I've got an addition, fiscal officer number 8. It's going to be a release of fire escrow.
Okay. Are there any other changes? Okay, the agenda will stand as amended. The sheriff's office, we don't have anything on the agenda. Is there anybody in the crowd that wishes to, any comments, concerns, or issues with our sheriff's office representatives this evening? Silence, nothing like that. That'll close sheriff's. We're going to take it to the detective's report. I'm going to turn that over to Detective Conner.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. For May of 2014, office handled 735 calls for service with 53 crashes, 12 crash with injury reports. We handled 98 alarms, conducted 233 traffic stops, and issued 112 citations with 31 arrests, 18 bookings, and 15 summonses. I handled 18 follow-up investigations for May and closed 13 of those cases.
I just would like to go on record and say what a fantastic relationship we have with Detective Koenig. There have been times in the office I've called him for immediate help. He's there always. Yes, Mr. Lino mentioned Saturdays. I know Mr. Lino's called him on a Saturday. I have numerous times. He answers every phone call immediately, every email, every time I ask him to come to the office. It's just been a fantastic relationship for all of us here and our residents, so thank you very much.
And I just appreciate the support from everyone. It's been, it'll actually be a year this month.
It's been a year.
Yeah, it's been a year so far, and it's been a great year.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah, so
I know what I like is the metrics, because before we didn't see that, so it makes it easy to say when you're talking to people on the street, what exactly are they doing? I don't ever see the cruiser at my street on these hours. Well, actually they're dealing with 735 calls. It really does make it beneficial. So.
And I think next month will be, I think July is when we started this. So we're now actually being able to kind of compare, instead of month to month, we can actually go, okay, July of 2013, here was where the increase was, or to really kind of gauge where we're at and the increase in cost. So it'll be kind of interesting to see.
And Mr. Lino just brought up a good point. If maybe we can start doing a column in our newsletter. So I'll talk to you maybe tomorrow about
Sheriff's office.
from our detective, especially since you're our main point person, and then not saying, but for us and on a day-to-day basis as our contact, it would be nice to put some of that in the newsletter, so maybe we can work on that. That would be great.
Whatever you want.
Question, and also, just for the record, yesterday I called Bill about the people going on the street with the cans asking for money. And as quick as I sent a text, he says, I'm issuing the person a citation right now as we speak.
And honestly, it's always like that. Yes.
Yeah. So,
It's almost always like that.
and, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, as far as time was concerned, because when I called that resident back, told them the person was being cited, and they said, wow, that's fast. And, I guess the next question then, is since they've been cited, I mean, because they're definitely out there doing what they're not supposed to be doing according to the permit. Because they've been cited, is that a removable issue there?
They and I talked about that today, and I had a chance to look at our policy. As I recall, it's probably not.
The penalty states that whoever violated Ohio Revised Code, Section 505-94, which this falls under, is hearing guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by a fine of up to $100.
Yeah.
So we can
Keep finding.
Well, what do we do?
But we also don't have,
We have to continue to allow them to use the permit if we knowingly know that they're out there.
I have to look at that.
yeah, we need to look into that, but also, they're obviously not going to get another one issued to them.
Yeah.
Because yesterday, we had somebody going through the neighborhoods, asking for money for missionary work, looking in people's windows. And I stopped the person because they were walking through my neighborhood, and I called Bill, and the guy had a permit from the city of Canton. And I looked at the permit, and the service director's name on that permit was not the service director.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, people give false documentation multiple times. You know, we're always trying to, you know, the best thing we always tell any resident, if that ever happens and they're unsure, you call the sheriff's office. And then they can move them out of the neighborhood right now. You know, that's the best advice we have, because we didn't obviously issue any permits for people for them to come in. They never came into our office asking us.
Bill, if there's soliciting without a permit, what do you guys do? Give them a warning the next time around, would you just issue a citation?
We would issue them under the home rule of the transient vendor.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess you could give them a warning, I mean, but we need to be diligent on letting Starcom know who we were out with. And so if we get another call in another neighborhood 2 hours later, and they pull that up, they can look at that name and either let the deputy know, or if the deputy's already aware, and then cite them.
Well, I think to follow up on that, one of the things that, and you tell me, I won't tell you, I don't tend to know criminal stuff, but once we've cited them, obviously that opens up the door to some other stuff if they continue to be a problem. One of which is if they show you anything false, that's a separate charge.
If they're presenting false documentation, we can, there might be something in there we can find under falsification, or even if it's a fraudulent document, and you look at maybe some sort of forgery. I mean, you know, the sky's the limit with, you know, getting creative with these guys, especially when we kick them out. And I think in the issue of the people standing in the street, you know, I was nice to them and gave them a home rule violation, but I told them next time, not only will they get a home rule violation, but they'll also get cited under Canton Community Court for violating 451151. So it's only going to take a couple times where they're going to have to go to court. They're going to have to pay a fine to the township, and then they're going to have to pay the fine to Canton Community. You know, that was continuing to cite them.
And we very definitely, in the case you're speaking about, in their letter granting them permission to operate, we specifically pointed out 4511 and other items, and specifically pointed out that they were not to be in the street approaching drivers.
Well, let me ask this question. I'm not an attorney, I'm not a police officer. But what part of a transient vendor permit allows individuals to go ask for money when they're not selling anything or selling something to be delivered? Because a transient vendor was a temporary thing, allowed somebody to set up a tent, a table, you know, those type of things, or go out according to what is written in our zoning text. You know, they're selling something, or they're selling something that's going to be delivered at a later time. Now, you know, to go out and solicit donations.
That, for charitable, it's listed in the home rule resolution under exceptions. any person who represents a business or organization, including but not limited to any entity exempted from taxation. In other words, people have to come in and show for 501c3, which, you know, permits churches, people like that. to-
Yeah, but it says in if you read our code, it says they have to be selling something. It's not soliciting donations.
No, no, that's the exception.
That's the exception.
Remember, we talked extensively about schools and churches and those kinds of things, so we didn't want to come down on them.
Yeah, we want to let the Girl Scouts and the
Right.
school people go out and do their thing and stuff
Right.
like that, but I mean,
So what you're referring to is accepted by that. They don't have to be selling something, those organizations.
so they have to be a 503c to go out and solicit.
501c3,
Or
that's the
501c3.
starting point.
Frankly, to get to that point, there's
It's pretty
a lot
tough.
of paperwork.
So, you know.
Oh my God, sorry.
Okay, is there
That's it, I'm like.
Okay.
anything else you have, are you good? Thanks, guys. That'll close the detectives report. We're gonna take it to the fiscal officers report, and I'm gonna turn that over to Mr. Flax.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. The first item on the agenda is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the pending warrants in an amount of $110,224.43.
Also moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 2 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the regular payroll in an amount not to exceed $220,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 3 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the payment for the following medical claims as provided by Alt Care.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 4 is the financial report.
Good.
Fiscal Officer number 5 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize a refund as follows for overpayments for emergency medical services as requested by Ohio Billing.
Also move for you to pay. Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 6 is a request for a resolution by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to authorize the following transfer.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Fiscal Officer number 7, it's a request for a new liquor permit, Linnabelle Properties LLC at 3101 Middle Branch Road. I believe an email went out to the Sheriff's Office with regard to that address. They don't have.
Is this the gas station?
issues. It looked to me like that's what the address was.
It is. Yeah, and they did respond and say they had no issues.
It is a new permit, I know we just got it today, so.
Now, my only question on that is, that really hasn't been open for a while, so to claim there's no issues with it, I mean, I guess that's sort of given, so my only exercising caution would be, you know,
Yeah, well,
let's.
the answer was when it was open in the past, that they never had any issues with it.
Okay.
Well, there's a couple robberies there, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no,
Liquor issues.
No,
Liquor
no
issues.
issues with the establishment
Yeah.
itself.
no
Okay.
selling to underage, no, none of that.
Okay.
So we can either hold it over or we can send it back.
It's not gonna make any
No.
pass it on.
Send it on. Okay. And then fiscal officer number 8 is a request for a resolution for the release of insurance proceeds from a fire on October 11, 2013 at 3204 Fulton Drive. Check to be made payable to Daniel Salim, as approved by Fire Captain Troy Slaybaugh.
So moved. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And then that's going to conclude the fiscal officer's report for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Flex. You're going to take us to the administrator. I'm going to turn that over to Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. Item number 1 is the resolution pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code, sections 504.04A1 and 504.05, 504.06, and 504.07 to adopt the attached hotel registration home rule effective 30 days from the enactment of this resolution, and be it further resolved that the fiscal officer publish the notice in 2 newspapers of general circulation in the township within the first publication being made within 10 days of the date of the resolution.
Also move on administrator number 1.
I will second it.
Discussion, just to clarify, this is follow-up on the presentation we had from the
John
chair.
Oliver.
John Oliver. Last week with the objective here of having to crack down on activity floating between the hotels. So,
Yes. And you'll see as you go through, it has the regulations, it has the actual citations, it has the citation proceedings. I've even included the language that Mr. Flex will include in the publications. So we should be set. What I'll do next is talk with John Oliver, let him know after it's been published when it will become effective. And then we'll get together to initiate, yes, the training of the deputies, and then they have offered to go out and bring copies to the hotels and educate them, all the hotels in Plain Township on this legislation, bring them copies and do the education for us.
Question, if they go in and they ask for a name on the lot, and what they didn't do what was required about getting the picture ID and stuff like that of the individual, they issue the citation on the spot?
Yes.
Yes.
Just do real work, just like any home rule violation we have.
any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
All right, item number 2 is a resolution to authorize payment to Worsler Brothers Landscaping for May 2014, an amount not to exceed $2,625 from Fund 01A26L.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Haas?
Yes. Okay, that's going to close the administrator and take it to the fire department. I'm going to turn that over to Chief Snyder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is the monthly report.
Good.
Item number 2 is a motion for the board to enter into an attached agreement between Plain Township Fire Department and Rankin Traub for legal collection services to be paid out of Fund 28A.
So moved.
Second.
Just discussion, point of clarification. Actually, rates went down by about 20%.
Actually, not on this. That was just a typo in the, that was from an old contract that Randy used, he just took it out. It's always been 100 for the fire collections. So they're just staying at that rate.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked him about that and said, did you make a mistake on it? So he corrected, as you can see, initially.
He was trying to sneak one by you guys, and I wouldn't let him.
Roll call.
Mr. Lino?
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis?
Yes.
And Mr. Haas?
Yes.
That's all, thank you.
Takes us to,
Chief, by the way, I don't think it was mentioned for the fire station thing Saturday, for the ribbon cutting and the uncoupling. Nice job with you and all your guys, and then all the staff, Mr. Steinberger, for getting all the help, and everybody that helped organize and put that together. It was very nicely put together.
Thank you. I just, again, on record, thank the board on behalf of my parents and my family and for the dedication of the fund. Thank you.
it's going to take us to the road department. I'm going to turn that over to Mr. Iacino.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, item number 1 is the monthly report for May. Are there any questions, we'll be more than glad to answer. Permit.
Good.
We're never done with this. We're working on it. Item number 2 is a resolution to post the vehicular speed established by section 4511.21 of the Revised Code of Ohio on Mill Ridge Circle between East Term and Warner Church at 25 miles per hour.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes.
Item number 2 is a resolution to post a statutory vehicular speed limit established by section 4511.21 of the Revised Code on Mill Ridge between Warner Church and East Term.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes.
Item number 4 is a resolution that the statutory vehicular speed limit be established by section 4511.21 of the Ohio Revised Code on Fiddler Court Northeast between Mill Ridge and the South Term at 25 miles per hour.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes.
Item number 5 is a resolution to authorize the posting of all streets and allotment signs with the speed limit of 25 miles per hour, so we're not putting speed limits all over the lawn.
So moved.
I'll
second it.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Haas,
Yes.
Mr. Lino,
Yes.
Mr. Geovasis,
Yes.
Item number 6, it's just informational. We received our prices back for salt for the 2014-2015 winter season, and they did go up to $2.25 a ton on our county. Go up.
Any word on, with what Steve did last year, that was nothing less than a hot mess, but with any revisions, any word on what?
I do not believe the state even bid yet. I know they did a secondary bid to try to make up for what was not delivered last year, and I don't think their bid prices are out yet.
Okay.
For the Eagles, not bid yet. There's a big difference though, because there's how much you have to buy, how much you can only go over, big difference between this bid and the state's bid. So, and we can always underbid, and then we're gonna not have the salt, or overbid, and then we gotta pay for it.
Yeah, for something we can't use. We don't.
We're not using it for. Item number 7 is the resolution to authorize the installation of a traffic control device in the form of a stop sign on Coddington at Muller going eastbound. Install a traffic control device in the form of a stop sign on Coddington at Muller going westbound, creating a 4-way stop. This is based on the Stark County Engineers traffic study of this intersection.
Also move on road number 7.
Second.
Discussion, this is the one for a number of years where it's a pretty wide one where people come flying through there and have ended up.
We have a bush. The road angle's terribly, it's not a good angle. There's a bush in the way that we've been trying to cut down for a long time. The resident refuses to cut it down because it's out of the right of way. Because he wanted a 4-way stop at all this time. I got with Brian Cole from the county, and he looked at it, and his first suggestion was to cut the bush down, but if that's not possible, to create a 4-way stop. So it was a couple weeks ago, Eric and Lisa went out with me. We were out looking at some other things, and Eric agreed that that's probably the best way to handle this, as long as we had that letter from the county engineer okaying it, because we don't want to start a rash of 4-way stops.
that's the
They're not
thing.
gonna cut the bush down now?
Probably,
Probably.
but the truth of the matter is, if you've ever been there, instead of this, it's this.
Yeah.
And so when you look there, you really cannot see because of the angle and the obstructions. As far as sightline goes, one of the things I talked to Joe about was we have so many people ask us for 4-way stops. And most of the time, they're not justified pursuant to the rules and the regulations that we go by and that govern where we put them. This is one of those cases where it isn't super high traffic. Certainly the way where there aren't stop signs isn't super high traffic, but it's such a terrible sightline issue with such a large obstruction that I think it is justified, and I think Joe does too. So it is differentiated, so that next person comes up to the podium and says, you just put a four-way stop, and I've been asking one for years, down, Peachmont or wherever it is. It's a very different situation.
It's not to control speed.
Yeah. It's a site issue.
Side issue.
And we will inform the sheriff's office of all these speed limits and stop sign changes.
Are we gonna put temporary flags or something?
I will flag them, there'll be bright orange flags on them for at least 30 days. Because I already had a resident, I said, don't trust them for a while until people get used to
Yeah.
them. Because
For sure.
don't trust the new stop signs.
Roll call.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Mr. Lina?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Item number 8, I guess just go ahead, we got a letter, our annual letter from the sheriff about the Hall of Fame enshrinement proceedings and the roads that will be closed and the equipment that he will be using, the bars, and us posting no parking on the streets as we always done. This happens every year.
This should be on Plain Township now, correct?
Only on Plain Township streets. We'll have to revise the old resolution for which streets we're looking.
Does the Hall of Fame get billed for time and materials on this stuff, or is this one of those where?
We've always done it. We've always done it for the sheriff's office. It's
Okay.
With the recommendation came from them for us to do it.
Okay.
That's the end of the road report.
Thank you, Joe. It's going to take us to the zoning department. And turn that over to Mr. Falk.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 1 is our monthly report for the month of May.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, then zoning number 2, we have nuisance abatements, and we do have 14 before you tonight. Of the 14, 9 of them are brand new, never seen our system before. And if you recall, we did remove which was 7465 Market Avenue. While I was driving in the area this morning, I did see that that was properly mowed and cut, so. And once again, the notification process that we follow through Ohio Revised Code is kind of on the lengthy side. We explain that when people call in, we thank them for their patience, but it does provide results. Sent an email out to you, we had over half of the ones that were potentially on our list as of last Thursday were taken care of through the notification process. So it does work, and I believe in it. I think it's good. We have to give proper notification, and it's the way to do it.
I'm going to move on. Zoning 2A through H and J through O as I was stricken. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Lina?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen. That concludes my report for this evening.
Send our sympathies to the Parks group.
I do have
We've
concerns
got a couple of good ones.
on some of those that are waist high and above about our equipment.
So do I was just gonna bring that up.
And our guys, if there's rocks, if there's, number 1, injuries, but then the equipment being damaged
We
too.
always, our crews, we always tell them, make certain they walk through the area first, make certain there's nothing lying there as far as a branch or anything like that. That's the first thing we do right away. And then they work them down. They don't go in right away and try to stop them. They work them down height-wise, so then they haul away, and they're very careful.
Are we in a point though, I mean, just based upon frequency of which of these may occur, or the volume of which they may occur. I mean, I know we've made investments in newer equipment for partially, say, keeping it partial, we can take the older equipment out to these, but even with some of that older equipment, are we in any position to literally utilize like a brush hog to go in and get some of this knocked out?
That's what we should be using, looking at some of these properties.
I just don't see where a belly mower or anything like that would be
It's gonna wear right out, you're right.
wise.
I mean, because every last one of these, if we have grass, we get 18 inches or higher.
I mean, is there recommendation, I mean, do we just have, is there any recommendations or guidance from,
Well,
I mean,
I think what needs to be done is that, I mean, how long does it take for grass to get 18 inches?
well, I think we take a look at the season, Maslin, Canton, Maslin and Canton had quite a few noted issues simultaneously as well. And being, you know, reactive to the reality is we're not gonna put a body out in a truck just to drive all the township streets, because that's not effective.
But I don't wanna put our equipment out there. Even our older stuff, we take such good care of. That's why it lasts so long. Looking at some of this, that last one looks like if I went out there, it would be up to my shoulders. Joe, do you have any recommendation?
I don't know if it's right, we could just start the process sooner, I mean, I don't know.
But
As far as
It's the
brush
first
hogging?
time. We do have a goat that the board had bought several years ago, do these exceptionally high properties. I still think it's up there as a property. I don't know whether they're using it.
Will you check that they've got to be using those?
Yeah, but if all said and done, with our crews are down there, they're down to the dumps.
Yeah.
We've gotten them short.
Yeah, they are. When it's that high, we cannot be bringing our mowers out there.
Okay, so talk to them about brush hogging and stuff like that.
Well, the other thing too is, you know, like Scott said, we can't pay somebody to specifically go out and drive through the neighborhoods, but we got a lot of employees driving through the township at different times. If they see something, they should make a note of it, and that way it can be reported.
Oh, yeah.
Before it gets to this.
We get reports routinely in from Mr. Iacino's group, and they're out seeing stuff, they're out patching holes, they'll give us a call.
When your crew did, the crews did the other day, was one of the worst ones I seen on 34th, 3rd Street.
Oh, yeah.
That grass was
Well,
every
what
bit
about,
of 3 feet high.
what about the one in Laurel Ridge with the abandoned house? I mean,
I'm talking just grass.
how many times have employees have driven past that property before it got 2 feet tall? I mean,
I stay off of that road.
I mean, this one on Columbus Road, I mean, it's right on Route 62. How many employees have driven by this place before it got that tall?
I guess my concern too is our equipment. I can't see our mowers
so,
out there.
for the sake of, I mean,
The Starfire stations were cut by our crew at the end of last year, and they were nothing. You know, once it's been the late season, and it is bad. But as I say, luckily we had over half of it taken care of.
so for the sake of that immediate conversation, the sake of that action, I mean, one, let's stress it, not outside of just road employees, but, you know, Chief, if your guys see, you know, something on the way back from a call, or any township employee sees something, flag an email over to Denny, address, go out, check it out, that way it's still a team effort, we're maximizing visibility there. But then, with respect to the actual action on these lots, Rob, if we don't think it's feasible, even with that billy goat or whatever it's called.
Or let's get a billy goat, a real one. Yeah.
I wish it to go green, we'll,
Let's go. Herds or flocks?
Half dozen goats might work.
Well, in all seriousness, you're right, and I do have a concern about an employee on our mower hitting a rock or something.
well, but for the sake of not ending up incurring a bunch of
Yeah.
maintenance expense, is it feasible, or realistic to say, if we say the equipment can't handle it, that we're
We're gonna have to.
contacting somebody to bring a brush hog in to is I don't want to see any delays in obviously getting them knocked down.
And that happened last time. We had
Yes.
people coming out on a good basis,
Yeah.
contractor.
Yeah. How many repeat homes do you think we have in the last 3 years? And what would be an estimated guess on if you were to buy that land, what it would cost that person for another lien? What would be an estimate guess? Is there homes in the 3-year range?
I would, we got rid of a lot of them with the demo program. Of course, I'm just really into my second batch here, so, or go, like I say, out of these 14, 9 of them are brand new.
I guess what I'm getting at, there, all directors are going crazy on this. I still don't fight for this. Let's say you've done, in the last 2 years, you've done the same home. No one's responsible for it, no one's cutting it. So in 2 years, you go to buy it, you got maybe $3,000 wrapped up that you have to pay for us coming out there and mowing it. Now, you go out there and spray that with Roundup, the new homeowner, all he has to do is come in and put his own new yard in. It may be cheaper, we may be saving him money. I'm throwing out there, and I just think about it, you just saved that homeowner maybe $1,000 because you didn't go out there twice or 3 times a year, and now he's got $4,000 wrapped up in a lien versus putting a yard in that he may want to do on himself for $2,000. So we just saved that homeowner money without having a lien. Well, all we did is go in there and spray Roundup, and it won't come up, and it's dead, and let the new homeowner put his own yard.
As I've said before.
Now, does that sound crazy?
We talked about it without our law director.
It wouldn't bother me at all.
Right, and honestly, it wouldn't bother me either, except I think we might run into a few problems.
I know it, I'm just.
It's a great idea,
Does it not make
it makes
sense?
total sense, I'm just not sure we could execute it legally.
Or with the
It's
EPA.
actually property damage.
Right,
Yeah.
I would
so,
still like to see something pass.
I mean, instead of raising some of those houses, a match and some gasoline would work pretty well too, but.
Whoa, man.
I asked that please be stricken from the record.
So, that's where we're at on that.
Back to table.
All right, so here,
Spray with Agent Orange, I guess.
guys, for the sake of, let's wrap this up. The direction's gonna be, you know, if the ability government's not enough, let's get somebody
We've done it before.
immediately
Yeah.
in to get these things knocked down and.
Okay.
I mean, additional expense goes on the property.
The taxes.
Right.
Well, the
It's
first
it's just
time through, it'd take them out, and then if we have to go back later on in the
It'll
year,
be way
it'd be
easier.
a lot easier, sure.
So that'll close out zoning. That's gonna take us to the Parks Department. I'm gonna turn that over to Mr. Steinberg.
The one and only item, gentlemen, is the monthly report.
You guys have had some good activity over there, Ron.
We had an incredibly busy month, yes, sir, between events, openings, transitions, normal daily programming, and then obviously the maintenance and upkeep of all the parks and buildings and grounds and stations. We've been pretty busy.
Good work. Any questions for Rob? Okay, that'll close out the Parks Department. Nothing under the law director, nothing under communications. It takes us to the portion of the meeting for public speaks. If there's anybody in the room that wishes to address the Board of Trustees, we ask that you stand and provide your name and address for the record. Is there anybody that wishes to address the board?
I'm Jen Robinson, and I live at 4000 22nd Street Northwest in Canton. And it's Shrine Village. There's a lot of renters in there now, and the excessive speeding in the neighborhood. And I think it's because of the high volume of rentals that I heard is in Shrine Village now, and also coming in Avondale. Thank you.
As far as have that, we've got that duly noted for the sheriff's office, just to, are there any specific streets, or is it just the allotment as a whole?
22nd Street, they're zipping up even all during the day, and like at 2 and 3 in the morning, sound sleep, and here comes a zoom. So it's bad, it's very bad. And I think it's because a lot of renters are coming in there. It's not a homeowners association, it's a lot of renters in there.
And that's between Lakeside and Whipple?
Yes, definitely.
That's a pretty long stretch, both at 21st and, they're almost a mile long, those streets.
Can we move our speed buggy?
We could put it out there, but it's gonna have to be moved in different
Yeah.
areas to catch everybody.
Probably, let's do this, let's let the sheriff do some extra patrols, and then we'll put the speed buggy out as like a double enforcement.
Tomorrow.
And
Do you want the buggy out tomorrow, or do you want the patrol?
This is gonna take, 2 or 3 days in each direction because of the length of those streets.
Is there, Mayor, is there a specific time that you'd like our deputies out there that you think that it's more heavier speeders? Because we can go out at a specific time that you think that is the worst.
I think it's pretty constant throughout the day.
Constant?
Even in the morning, I'm retired. And even in the morning, I'm thinking, why is so much traffic? Why aren't these people at work? I'm retired. But it just seems constant anymore, all through the day. So but I will watch it
Okay.
for a certain time.
Okay.
Thank
If
you.
you have really a specific time that seems to be really bothering your neighborhood, then that's helpful to our sheriff.
I'll make a note of it. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to address the board under public speaks? That'll close out public speaks. It's going to take us to concerns of trustees, and I'm going to make note, I think both Mr. Geovasis and I at the fire station grand opening had 3 or 4 residents at different points come up to us and ask us about stone crossing, about putting the speed at Stone Crossing,
Since
right?
they've opened it up, people on Stone Crossing now are saying the speed's picking up, people coming through, since they've opened it up for Lexington.
The part in Stonehenge itself?
On Stone Crossing itself, yeah, not the curvy part, the new part, the straight part from the top of the hill to the market, till you get to the first curve.
We installed a four-way stop at the top of the hill.
Yeah, but once they get past there, they're really thick, because the traffic's increased exponentially down there, they said.
So down
Because people even from the schools are using that as a.
down around the curve or in the straight?
The straightaway.
The best place to put it, because we do have a stop sign at.
I would put it right in the center. So that stretch from the top of the hill before you get to the curve where it curves around to go to Market.
There is a stop sign on Morellis, in Stone Crossing right there. You want it below the stop sign, closer to the curve, or closer to up the hill?
Put it up the hill farther, because that's where the people that said something.
Okay.
And if we need to, we can move it down the next day on the other side of the stop sign at halfway point, see what the difference might be.
And just to clarify, I think we're going to start with the speed buggy there, let the sheriff's patrol out on 22nd Street first, and then it's more effective to, give the tickets, then have the speed buggy out there. So we'll start with the speed buggy there first.
Thank you.
Then the only other thing I wanted to note, this is more just an FYI, next Thursday is the County Township Association meeting, the Michigan Township's hosted at Mike's Lands. The Stark County Township Association is going to have as a topic of discussion a new representative to the SCLRC, the Land Bank Board. As my 2-year term is wrapping up, I'm going to complete it and let somebody else joyfully step up and take that responsibility. Again, like the efforts that happen for the County Township Association meeting, anything will be met with rejection should my name come back up. So,
Because there might be a lot of Plain Township department heads urging me on.
We don't get to vote, that's the only problem.
Yeah. We can speak highly of it.
so unless either of you two, I know Mr. Leno can be perfect fit.
That gives you time for
Just,
a
Thank you for thinking.
Yeah. Anything else under concerns of trustees by the others? Okay, concerns of the fiscal officer.
None, Mr. President.
Takes us to approval minutes for May 27th, 2014, for which I will so move.
Second,
Discussion.
Mr. Williams, I have to leave at the halfway point, that should I vote or not vote?
No, I wouldn't, obviously you can't do a half vote, so I'd probably just abstain because you had to do a half vote.
Roll
It
call?
doesn't reflect the
Right.
voting, so.
Right.
Mr. Lena?
Yes.
And Mr. Haas?
Yes. Then, Scott? There's abstaining. There is a need for executive session, so be it hereby resolved by the Plain Township Board of Trustees, Stark County, Ohio, to adjourn to executive session. It's 6:48 PM from this regular meeting is authorized under Ohio Revised Code 121.22G for the purpose and consideration of 1F, compensation of a public employee or official, 3, a conference with the law director or other retained counsel concerning pending or imminent court action. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Lena?
Yes.
Mr. Gevasis?
Yes.
Mr. Haas?
Yes.